Hello everyone, welcome back to Caroline's Craft Tree for another episode of pin stitching. So remember to go and grab your templates. So this just make it a little easier for you to start with. So today we're going to talk about hearts and ovals. So here is some heart samples. So as you can see, this one here I went middle to middle, or 1 to 17, so I started at that hole, and I went down into that hole, did my counterclockwise until I got back to where I started, so that gives a nice heart. This one I did 1 to 14, so I started here, then I went down there, and I went all the way around the one time. And that makes a nice heart too. But if I was going to do it around again, it would pretty much take me over where I already went. So now this one, I went all the way around counterclockwise again, the same as we did in the circle and the square. But as you can see with the heart, it covered in my tip of my heart. Because once you get over to here, you're crossing over. So although it still looks nice, it doesn't quite give you that heart. So on this one, I split my heart in half. So I started there and I went down there, so I figured out how many holes I had. I split them in half, so then I went down. So it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I went down the 9th hole. And I kept going until I got to this point, and then I did a totally second one over here, which also gives you a nice heart. So there is that. So it doesn't always work to just go all the way around until you get those V shapes. So the best thing to do is experiment with different shapes and whatnot. So when you're dealing with different shapes, such as a heart, you want the same number of holes on each side. So in between this point and that point, the holes here are exactly the same as the holes there. Because then when you're going around with something like this, you end up in the right spot. Hopefully that makes sense. So here is the ovals that I did. And just playing around again, the different spots that you put your needle away from your starting point will determine how big your oval is going to be. So this one here, I did 2 different ones. This one I did directly across from each other, but then I did a little bit different stitch here, which I'm going to actually show you today. And these did pin stitching of the little lavenders that I showed you last video. I'll just find, here's one here of the lavender pieces that I did. I just did the little pieces inside, which I'm actually going to use those in a journal. So I'm actually going to show you this one here today, just because it's got a different stitch, and we'll be using that stitch later in some of the flowers that we've been doing. So I've got my red thread, and I'm going to go in the very top hole. Now we anchor it down just with a piece of tape. I have used washi tape for this, but I find that the Scotch tape just works better. So now I'm going to go directly across. I'm going to go down there, and I'm going to do my my clockwise. And go all the way around my oval. I'm not sure why I always want to say counterclockwise. You can go counterclockwise, but just always go one direction or the other. Sorry, I'm just moving my table a little closer to where I'm working. Okay. So let's do this all the way around. So all my threads are going to overlap in the middle of this oval. The second stitch that we're doing here, I have no idea if there's special names for the different stitches, but we will be using that stitch later in some of these flowers that we do. I thought with the flowers, I've got 4 different flower patterns, and I thought I'd do a project with you on each of those because there's a few different things on some of them that would be good to know. I think they would be good to know. I'm sure there's other videos of pin stitching out there. The patterns that I bought were actually very nice. They were easy to follow once I had the basic of how to do the pin stitching. With the patterns that I did buy, they gave clear instructions on where to start each of the little sections in the pattern itself. So I found them quite easy to follow. Okay, one more hole here. Okay, there we go. Let's tape the back of that. Okay, let's take another color. Yeah, let's take yellow, I guess, being that we've got some of it off the spool anyways. And thread up our needle. Always fun to do when somebody is watching. Okay. So now with my yellow, I'm going to come up in the center hole at the bottom. Okay. Put a piece of tape on the back. So now with this, we are not going to do counterclockwise because this is just a different stitch. So you can see that all the stitches come from the one hole here and they go to different holes up here. Okay, so now we are going to go into the hole going to the right. So now we're going to skip the hole we came up and go to the other hole over here. So we've got a little line there and there. When we're going up and down this hole so much, I find it easier to go down it rather than going up it. Hopefully that makes sense. So now we're going to go way over to here. So you can see that's where we came up the first time. We've come up there, up there. So now we're going to be one more hole away up here, but we're going to go down our main hole. Hopefully you can see that. Hopefully you can see the yellow. I never thought that it might be harder to see. So now on the back, we're going to go to our next hole on the other side. And we're going to come up. So you can see this is our main hole here, right there. So every time we're going to go away one more until we hit up to the center. So then from there we're going to go down our main hole in the center bottom. And because once you go down this hole quite a few times, it'll be harder to get your needle through. And just by going down from the top down, it makes it look better, I find. And by going from side to side to side to side, down here when you're done, makes it look neat and tidier. So now on the back, we're going to the opposite side over here. So again, there was our last one on that side. As you go up a little ways, then these stitches start to form the design, just like on that one there. You can start to see it's going inside more. So now back to this other side, one away from where we were last time. Pull it up and go down. Now again to this other side, go there. And again, you can see we're one away from where we had it before. And go down. And now up on this side, one away from where we were before. And go down. And we're going to keep going in that fashion until we hit up at the middle, which is right about there. So we're going up on one side and down in the middle. Now we're going to the other side. And down, and up, and down. We're almost to where we want to be. A few more stitches, but as you can see now, you're starting to get that shape that we wanted. That shape that is on this one right there. This stitch is great for leaves and whatnot. And we will be using something similar on some of the flowers. Kind of gives you the same design on the back, just not quite as neat. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that will be our center there. So that's as far as we would go. Now we would want to turn it around and we want to make that same design, but on this side, going back and forth. I'm not going to show you that because it is the same as this. You're just going to do it on the other end. So trying not to make the videos quite as long, but you get some really nice effects from just experimenting on how far away your stitches are on your ovals, on your circles, on your squares. And the main thing is to just try it, because If you mess up, it's only a little bit of thread and a little piece of paper. So experiment, play with them. Even a different color can just totally make a different effect on what you're making. So on our next video, we're going to start making some of the little flowers. And as I say, I've got 4 planned out. Flowers are easy to do, and you can do lots of different things with them. So some of the other things, like the little mouse that I showed you and whatnot, a lot of those patterns I bought, so I can't share them with you. But you can find lots of free patterns out there for different things. So the dragonfly, I made that. I came up with the body and stuff of it. So yeah. So I hope you enjoyed these, and we'll see you soon, and we will make a flower. Bye for now.